So, hello. Hello.
Hey everybody, Dale is working on his audio. If everybody can go ahead and mute up, so that then that way it won't interfere when he gets his audio going.
I'm
And then
sorry. I'm
no,
sorry.
no, you're good. You're
I didn't
good.
even know I was
And
I didn't know I was muted. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. And then
Okay.
two, if you don't mind, if everybody can send me a direct message in the chat just with your first and last name, just so we know who's here. And I appreciate y'all being on here. I'm looking forward to learning something myself. So I'm gonna pass it over to Dale and his team, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Hey, thank you, Diviner, and I apologize to people. I didn't even know I was muted. Uh, but so I guess I'll start over then. I was going to talk to you about. First of all, thank you to Divine and One Lexington for giving me this opportunity to pour back into you all the things that I've learned over the course of my life about personal finances and some things that have worked excellent and great for me. So I'm going to share some of those things with you. Here's a kind of a short agenda. I'm going to have an introduction of myself. I'm going to give you some proactive versus reactive concepts and strategies. We're going to talk about budgeting. We're going to talk about debt management. We're going to talk a little bit about investing, and we're going to take some final tips and takeaways. So I'm going to ask you these questions, and I just want you to just ponder these questions to yourself. What do you spend the most money on? What do you consider wants and needs? What do you value? Do you have a budget? Yes. Why or why not? And what are your financial goals? I just want you all to just ponder these questions to yourself and answer these questions to yourself and just think about that. What do you spend the most money on? Is it clothes, shoes, cars, accessories? Are you investing in a home? Are you spending your money on things that depreciate and then that have no value later on? Or are you spending your money on things that appreciate, which increase in value as they age, right? So these are some of the questions I want you to just ponder to yourself as we get going, as we go along. I'm gonna tell you who I am because I really feel it's important for you individuals to know who the person who is that's facilitating this conversation. My name is Dale Morgan. I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky. I went to Glendover Elementary. I went to Morton Middle School. I went to Henry Clay High School, and I went out to upon graduation from high school, I went to the University of Louisville when I was playing football there. But that didn't work out, and I'll get into that later on in life, later on in this segment. But I grew up in the housing projects of East End area, Bluegrass, Asmondale. I grew up in the housing projects. I saw a lot of things in my community, on my street, and sometimes in my own household that could have gave me a reason or excuse to not be the person that I could be, or not be the person that I'm becoming or have I become to today. So there are a lot of things that affect us that some people use it as energy and fuel to change their life for the better, and some people use it as an excuse. I chose to use it as energy and fuel to help me to better my life. Now, growing up in the projects, I literally watched my mom every month sign over our welfare check to the landlord because it was only enough to cover the rent and the utilities. So how do you budget from $0? The check every month went to the landlord. I literally watched my mom just sign it over. Now we got food stamps, so I never starved. I always had a roof over my head and I always had food in my belly, so I never starved. But I knew, even at that young age, I knew that wasn't living. That wasn't the life that God had planned for me, my family, and even my community. but I knew that I had to take the initiative to do something about it. I had to be the one to do it, right? That's another thing I want to say. You have to take initiative for your life, right? Coming up in back then in the neighborhood, we just worked for the weekend. And back then we got paid every week. So we went to work every day. We worked out 40 hours a week and we got paid on Friday. We paid what bills we juggled. We paid what bills we gonna juggle this week. We had enough money saved up for the weekend to go out and have a good time, buy some outfits, buy some clothes. And then we got up Monday morning and we did it all over again. And I got tired of living like that. So that's why I said I got serious about my personal finances and about my life. Now, a lot of stuff I'm going to talk about in here today is going to be centered around mindset, because you have to change it here before the change in your heart. You have to change it in your mind before it will change in your heart, right? So a lot of stuff I'm going to talk to you about is my mindset and how I use my mindset and how financial concepts and strategies I use to get myself out of debt and get my personal finances together. So I'm going to put a term out there to you called opportunity cost. And opportunity cost is something you give up one thing for another thing, right? And I'm going to give you guys a prime example of how I messed up on an excellent opportunity cost. So back in like 1998, I was in a very fortunate position to where I could have bought an investment rental property, or I could have bought a 94 Cadillac DeVille. And I'm going to ask you all, now at this time, I was about 25 at this time. Which one do you think I bought?
The car.
Okay, I heard a car. Okay. Anybody else want to chime in?
The car.
Why do y'all think I bought the car? Why? There's two people who said I bought the car.
25.
Oh, because I was 25. Okay.
You was young then, so you didn't know really.
Yeah.
Right.
You bought the house.
You needed transportation.
New transportation. Okay. All right. So those all to cut through the suspense, I'm gonna tell you, you're exactly right. I bought that car. I bought the car, and now I want you to see something here. I want you to look at the top of that screen. How much did that car cost? And everything included in the price of that. I'm gonna go through everything that included in the price of that car right here. I don't know if you can see this screen. So that car, the sticker price on that car was like $22,000. I had like a 22% interest rate, which I didn't even know about interest rates at the time. But soon after I bought that car, what did I do? I went to Car Stereo Warehouse. I put me some 15s in the trunk.
Gotta have the 15s.
Yes. I put some 15s
in a Cadillac.
In the Cadillac. I put some 15s in the trunk. I went to a Trailblazers. I put me some Vogue tires on there with some 20-inch wheels. The rims, those Vogue tires at that time, each tire cost $500. 4 times 5 is what? 2,000. That's 2,000 in just tires. Now I want to be very clear on something with you all. I was not into any street activity. I had a job. I was actually working. So this was my money that I was spending. This was money that I was going and giving up my time for this money, and I was spending with this. I was saving up to do this. So the tires were $2,000 a piece. The rims were like $3,000. So that's $5,000 in just wheels and tires. And then at Car Stereo Warehouse, I had a perfectly fine CD player in that car. But what did I have to do? I had to get me this fancy Kenwood CD player because I'm a huge Tupac Shakur fan. So when I flip Tupac CD in there, I want his name to go across the screen, right? So that's what I did. So long story short, and I want to go back to here too. So at the same time, some of you may recognize this house if you're familiar with Ohio Street, the 300 block of Ohio Street, about a Lyric Theater.
I was going to say Ohio Street.
Excuse me?
I was going to say Ohio.
Yes, that's on Ohio Street. That house, did you see pictured? The house to the left, the White House, is the house that we lived in. But the one in the picture is the one that was for sale. It was some guys that came in our neighborhood and they were flipping houses. And this guy approached me, and I would go over there because I was inquisitive, and I was wondering what they were going to do with that house. And he told me, he said, "Look, man, we just paid $6,000 for this house. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it up, and I'm going to sell it for $30,000." He said, "You should buy this house." And that went so, and I was like, "Man, I ain't buying no house, man. I'm not going to buy no house." And then 2 weeks later, I went out and I bought that Cadillac. So after I bought that Cadillac, I pulled back up in front of my house. I'm smiling and cheesing. I'm happy about what I just did. And that guy, they were over there working on the house. And he says, "Whose car is that?" I said, "Man, I just bought it. You like it?" He said, "How much you pay for that?" I said, I told him, I said, "I paid $22,000. And he said, "What?" And he said, "Well, how much was your interest rate?" And I didn't even know what interest rate that I signed for on that piece of paper. And I told him that. He said, "You just went and bought that car for $22,000 with a 22% interest rate." He said, "You could have," and I've been trying to get you to buy this house. He said, "You could have bought that house." And even then, in that moment, it still didn't dawn on me what I had just done. That was one of the biggest blunders in my life. Now, I want to ask you a question. I want you guys to ask me a question. Tell me where that car is. Ask me where that car is right now. Somebody ask me where the car is.
Where is that car?
I have no idea. Right? It might be 3 or 4 cars by now, or in that big junkyard in the sky, right? But I know for sure I can tell you where that investment rental property is. It's still right there in the same spot at 327 Ohio Street, making money for somebody, and it's been making money this whole time. So when I talk about opportunity costs and the decisions that we make, that's what I'm talking about. The guy who actually bought that house, he owns 5 other houses on that street now. That could have been me. But you know why it wasn't me? Because I valued something else. I wanted that Cadillac. And when I thought about it years later, I really didn't want that Cadillac. What did I want? Somebody tell me what I wanted.
The attention.
Exactly right. I
was
wanted
to say the girls.
The attention is the girls.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you. You are exactly right. I wanted that Cadillac because it would have been a status symbol for me. It brought attention to me. It would give me the girls that I wanted. Everybody would see me when I come in that car, especially after I went and put all this stuff in it, right? The wheels, the system, the car, the shined up. That's what I wanted. I didn't even want the car. I wanted the attention and what it gave me, because that's what I valued. But as I matured and I grew on in life, I became to know my values changed. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more too. What happens when your values change? Because what you value is what you will spend your money on. Had I valued that investment property and understood the importance of what I would purchase that property, this guy that owns this property now has a $1 million investment portfolio, and it all started because he bought that house. It could have been me. It could have been me. I want to talk about my credit card experience. Has anybody out there has a credit card? Have you experienced credit cards? Anything like that? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's been your experience with credit cards? If you mind sharing.
I max them out.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get to that. So, when I graduated high school, I went to the University of Louisville, and on campus, they tried to get people to, they have these events where they're getting people out, people meeting each other, walking around, where there was this table called Capital One. And this guy said, "Hey man, come over here and get a free t-shirt and a slice of pizza." So me and another guy, we went over there to get our free t-shirt and a slice of pizza. And he said, "You can get your free t-shirt and a slice of pizza. All you got to do is sign up for this." And all we have to do was sign up for that credit card, and we got a free t-shirt and a slice of pizza. So I signed up for the credit card, got my free t-shirt and a slice of pizza, and then about 2 weeks later, I had that credit card in my hand. And what do you think I did when I got that credit card in my hand?
You went shopping.
Word.
Shopping.
Mm-hmm.
I went shopping. I went to me and a buddy of mine, we caught a ride out to St. Matthew's Mall in Louisville. Now coming up, I want you to remember back, my mom signed her check over to the landlord, so we didn't have money. So you know how our community is about Jordans, right? You know how they are.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted Jordans. And one time I went to my mom and I said, I want these shoes. And she said, how much do they cost? And I told her, and at the time they was $150. And she said, boy, you better get out of my face. So I went out to St. Matthew's Mall. I bought me 2 pair of Air Jordans. I bought this exact color here, the red and the black. But I also had what is red here, I had a white pair. So I had the red and the black and the white and black. Now, who's this guy on the left here, on the right here? That's Snoop Dogg, right?
Right.
And advertisers use celebrities to separate us from our money. I was a fan of Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg was hot at the time. Snoop Dogg was wearing Tommy Hilfiger. So guess what Dale wants? Dale wants Tommy Hilfiger. So I went out to the mall. I bought 2 pair of Air Jordans. I bought 2 Tommy Hilfiger outfits. And each Tommy Hilfiger outfit matched my shoes. So after you do that, now the credit card only had a $500 limit. I spent $575. So I was already over the limit as well. So what happens a month later after you swipe that credit card? What happens a month later?
The bill comes.
The bill comes.
They
right?
want their money.
They want their money. Well, guess what? I'm in college. I don't have a job. My mom don't have no money. So how are they gonna get their money? Okay. I thought it was funny. Guess what? I thought it was real funny. I thought it was real funny that they wanted their money and I didn't have it to give them, right?
Right.
So when those credit card statements would come in the mail every month, I would just tear them up.
Ignore them.
Tear them up, ignore them. And then after a while, you know how the creditors start calling and this and that. But after a while, it just stops. And after it stops, does that mean it's over with?
No. You
No.
can't.
It doesn't mean it's over with. It's still there. So fast forward 8 years into the future, I was trying to get pre-approved for a home loan. And what's the first thing they want to do when you try to get pre-approved for a loan?
Pull your credit.
They want to run your credit. And guess what popped up on there?
Them credit cards.
Them Air Jordans and that Tommy Hilfiger.
They don't even have anymore.
That I don't even have anymore. I can't, and that's another thing. I can't even tell you where that stuff is at. Right?
Probably in the junkyard in the sky with the car.
Right. More than likely so. Yeah. So I had to pay that debt off before they would approve my loan. Now remember, my credit card limit was only $500. I put $575. But with interest, fees, late fees, being over the limit fee, when it was all said and done, I always say I had $575 worth of pleasure. But I had to pay back $2,300 when it was all said and done. So those shoes and those 2 pair of Air Jordans and 2 Tommy Hilfiger outfits cost me over $2,000 in the long run. But again, that's where my mind was at that time. So again, that's what I valued and that's what I spent my money on. That's a depreciating liability. It does nothing for me. I could not tell you where none of those shoes or those clothes are at. I want to ask you all a question. Identify one key aspect of your relationship with money. What would you all say your relationship with money is? If whoever wants to share.
We locked in.
You locked in. What does that mean?
We best friends.
Y'all best friends? Okay. Anybody else?
It's a love-hate relationship.
Love, hate? Oh, why do you love it and why do you hate it? What makes you love it and what makes you hate it?
Because it gets the things that I think I need where I am in my mind today.
Okay.
But then I hate it when I make a bad choice and I could have made a better, such as your rental property, you know?
Right.
That decision.
Right. Okay. How does it shape your financial decisions?
And mine in particularly, I just don't think I'm very money conscious all the time, I guess.
Why? You say all the time, so that means sometimes you are. So what makes it different from the times you are and the times you're not?
I don't know. Mindset, I guess, is the only thing I could say.
Mindset. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So us as human beings, we have selective attention, right? There are 11 million pieces of information thrown at us at one given time. You ever notice how if you go out and you buy a certain car, let's go out and say you buy an Audi. After you buy that Audi, every time you out driving around, you see more Audis, don't you? Why is that? Why do you think that is? If you're looking for a red car, you can spot a red car. But there might have been red cars all around you all the time.
Selective attention, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yep. So and the point of this is to tell us we have selective attention. We give attention to things a lot of time, often, and I've been guilty of this 100%. We give attention to things that really are not good for us. Right? We'll spend money we'll spend $200 or $300 to go to a concert to see Beyonce, but we won't take that same $200 or $300 and start an investment account. You get what I'm saying? The unconscious mind is malleable, meaning that it's flexible and plasticity. We can rewire it. When I decided to get my financial house in order, I had to rewind my thinking. I had to retrain the way I thought about my money. I no longer value Air Jordans. I'm not going to buy a pair of Air Jordan. And I want to get this clear. It's nothing against Air Jordan, nothing against those. It's just I'm at a different point in my life. I have kids now. I have a family to take care of. I need that money for something else, and I needed to take care of them. I'm trying to build a legacy, something to leave something behind for my kids, something for my kids to continue. So, and in doing so, that's what I value. And because I value my family and my kids, I spend my money on things that can only uplift them, right? I want you to think about fast and slow of your brain. If we look to the left, we see the fast brain. The fast brain is the back of your head, and that's called the amygdala. And what that does, that's for fast thinking. Okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say you go to Walmart. You know how you say you go to Walmart? I'm going to go to Walmart and get some milk and cereal. And that should only be what? $8. Well, it'd probably be more now with inflation. But it'd be $8. And then you come out of Walmart and you just spent $50. Has anybody ever had that happen to them?
Every time.
Why?
Because we see more than we think that we need when we go in there.
What's the key word in what you said? You see what?
We think that we need.
You need it. You think you need it. But in actuality, you don't. And that's what happens when you think with the fast brain, the fast part of your brain. When you start thinking with the slow part of your brain, which is up here, your prefrontal cortex, it's more rational. You can sit back and rationalize. Man, do I really need another big screen TV? Yeah, it's on sale. But just because it's on sale, does that mean I need another one? That's the difference right there. See what I'm saying? What are values? Values are people, things, and places that are important to you and guide your money decisions. Again, like the Cadillac. I valued the Cadillac, so that's where my money went. I valued the Air Jordans and Tommy Hilfiger. That's where my money went. So what you value is where your money will go. Like now, it's about family. How can I uplift my family and create a legacy for myself and my family? Needs versus wants. This helps determine your spending priorities. Do I need a new pair of shoes every week? No. Do I need food on the table every day? Yes. Do I need to pay my rent or my mortgage? Yes. Do I need that subscription to Netflix? No. Right? These are the decisions that we get faced with every day. And some people make the right decision and some people make the wrong decision or do both. But differentiation, your needs and your wants helps you prevent impulse buying and overspending. It makes you help make more thoughtful choices, and it helps you save money. What is a budget? My whole life changed, and I want everybody to be paying attention when I say this. Please pay attention. My whole life changed. First off, it changed when I just made a conscious decision in my brain that I was going to get my finances together. And when I sat down and actually said, I'm going to do that, I pulled out a piece of paper. It's a true story. On a piece of paper, I sat down and I wrote out a budget. I wrote out all the money, the income, all the money I had coming in, and I wrote out all my expenses. I went through it line item by line item. Every bill that I pay every month, I was supposed to pay, and I wasn't paying too, right? But every bill I was supposed to pay every month, I put it down on paper. And I categorized those expenses from wants and needs, and then I delved in deeper and categorized them as fixed and variable. Now, the fixed expense will be something like your rent from month to month. Like, example, if your rent's $500 for the term of that lease, you're going to pay $500. Now, let's say that's a fixed expense. Your electric bill is a variable expense because it'll fluctuate based on how much usage you got. So one month your electric bill could be $120, one month it could be $80, one month it could be $140. And I sat down and I categorized all those expenses and I compared it to my income. And when I did that, without giving you exact numbers, let's say I had $1,000 coming in, but I had $1,300 going out. What would you do in that situation? If you see, man, I'm only bringing in $1,000, but I got $1,300 going out. What you think should be the first thing you should do in that situation?
Reevaluate your wants and needs or money.
Right. Reevaluate your wants and needs for money. And that's exactly what I did. And I went through, remember I told you I made out that budget spread, I listed out all my expenses. I went through there and I said, what could I cut out? You know what? I don't have to go to Applebee's every week. Done. I don't have to have that Netflix subscription out. I don't need to be paying for this or paying for that. I went through and I cut out all the things that I could live without. Right? Everything that I could live without, I cut it out. And this is the thing. I'll be honest with you. It's not easy. It's not going to happen overnight. It took me 2 to 3 years to get my finances in order to where I was happy with where I was at. Because that was the hole that I dug for myself. But once I got out of it, it's been beautiful ever since. Right? And typically with budgeting, they call it the 50-30-20 rule. 50% goes for things you need, like housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, some debt payments. 30% is for your wants. It's for discretionary spending, non-essentials like going to that concert, going to the movies, going out to eat. And 20% is for savings and debt repayment, contributing to your retirement account. I know sometimes we think that retirement's a long time away, but it'll creep up on you. I can remember when I was 20 years old and they were trying to get me to start a retirement account. And I said, man, I got time for that. So when you look at this 50-30-20 rule, when you're trying to cut back on your budget and get your finances under control, the first place you go to is at 30%, because those are just your wants. Those are things that you can go without. You're not going to die. Life will go on. It might be rough for you a little bit if you don't have certain things, but you will survive, right? That's the first place you look when you try to cut out expenses. A plan for effective budgeting. Again, set financial goals, estimate your income. Here's another thing I'll tell you too. With a budget, if there's 2 to 3 things you can do. As far as income, you can increase your income. You can decrease your expenses. Then if you can do both, that's great. But when you're trying to get your finances in order, you got to do something. Something's got to give. Right? Remember, if I'm only bringing in $1,000, I can't keep spending $1,200 or $1,300. Something's got to give. I got to bring in $1,500 and spend $1,300, or I got to bring in the $1,000 and get that $1,300 down to $800. Something's got to give. And unless something gives, nothing's going to change. I want you to understand how budgeting. Can anybody out there tell me what net income is? Anybody? Net income. Well, in a nutshell.
I'm sorry. Your net income is what you receive after they take out all your taxes and other things that you got coming out of your paycheck.
Exactly. Net income. But I want you to think of net income in the big picture of everything, of your whole life. But you're exactly right, though. Net income is essentially all the money, all the assets, all the money that you have, whether it be a house, a car, anything that's worth any value, so minus everything that you owe, all the bills that you owe. That's your net income. So let's say